The stories are all around us. They're in our families, and sometimes those are some of the richest stories. And the process of making the film made me closer to my mom, to my dad, to other, members of my family. So, that's the real personal gift, I think, for me in terms of making the film. But I brought my video camera with me, and I knew it was something that I wanted to document, and I didn't know exactly, of course, where it would go. How do you know? What could this be like? So I did approach it with I think a sense of exploration, but I don't know. So in some ways, the process was also maybe my coping mechanism a little bit with what was going on. And I knew it wasn't just. Always knew it wasn't. I didn't want to just make a story about cancer and people facing cancer, and the deeper universal truths for me were about exploring their love and what that means in their marriage. And so I did, I think, have a sense that that going into it, that's also what I wanted to look at there. It is good. Well, for those of you that are film students here, I mean, definitely my color correction was a guy I knew from Chicago, his friends, and those relationships that you form now are very important and come back, And, filmmaking is, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back type of scenario, especially when you're, starting out. You got to work on a lot of films for free. Everybody starts out in this industry pretty much working for free. And then you get a good reputation. If you work hard and you're fun to work with, then you start to actually get paychecks, which is nice. Well, I think there are things that I could do on this film. I did shoot it and edit it, and I did the sound on the location sound myself. But I don't. First of all, some of the software that they have in professional color correction, and what they're able to do. Like Jimmy was able to go in, and I would say, this part of we want to lighten this up but leave this dark, and it really has a lot more latitude, and I just don't have the technical expertise to do it, and it would take a long time to do that. And the same with sound mixers, so good sound mixers, their ears are trained, and they're really they're really experts at it, and I didn't, I'm not. So those were the parts that I didn't feel I could leave to myself, so brought in people to do that. Well, that's a question in documentary always is, when do you put down the camera and just interact as a person, and there's a more obvious sort of, if somebody is hurt in front of you and you're just shooting the camera instead of helping them, well, you're kind of a jerk. But in this case, I was sitting around usually, like the tenser parts were at the beginning, of the process when they were all going through this, and I think in large part they were so focused on that the camera was a little bit invisible with them. But the camera was, in my hands, and I was still talking and contributing to what was going on. So it wasn't like being a completely voyeuristic presence in this sense. It's like, okay, I'm still sitting at the table and involved in this discussion. I'm just holding the camera. But, I mean, the more casual interviews, my mom's sitting in the chair, it's just usually me and her, and I'm right across from her, talking to her like I normally would, and just happen to be holding the camera. So there wasn't really any moment where, well, I would say I didn't film the burial, and I didn't feel comfortable doing that. Although we did have a camera set up during the funeral mass, but I just didn't feel that shooting the burial was something I wanted. So I guess that's the point. But most of the time, no, it never felt like. You know, I mean, my sister, you know, definitely at one point early in the process said, "Why are you doing this? This is uncomfortable. This is really hard right now, and I don't need a camera in my face." So we really, you know, and, you know, so I was holding the camera at that point and was kind of like setting it down, but letting the audio run in just case I wanted to use that. But we talked through that and we worked that out, you know, and eventually came to an understanding on that. And there were times definitely where my mom said, you know, I'm tired of the camera, but that was more of, you know, just her being self-conscious than it being an uncomfortable moment. Like, there's a part in the film where they're talking about the dating at the Spring Hill, the little college they went to, and my mom's actually saying, "He's recording," you know, she's trying to say, "He's recording right now, we don't want this on camera," and, you know, but, which is funny because it's a lighter, you know, moment, you know, but that's the kind of thing where she would say, "No, don't shoot." So, but there was no big moment where I was like, "Oh, I shouldn't have shot that." I didn't ever feel that way. Well, sure. I mean, the first part of that is sometimes as documentarians, we go out and we shoot, but you can't control life, you know. You have to, and life doesn't always give you the drama or the arcs that you need to craft stories. So that can, and you know, that can be definitely a quandary for documentary filmmakers. I didn't so much experience that here. If anything, I was wishing I could get home a little more often to shoot. But you know, my life goes on too, and so as the film progressed, there, you know, at the beginning I was there all the time, and but you know, because you know I have to teach or I have to work, you know, I couldn't make it back all the time. So if anything, I wanted to be able to get back and shoot more. And you know, I guess there's always sort of lulls too in the creative process where maybe you feel a little tired, and you know, where you're like, you know, just like anything, and you know, you have to say to yourself, pick up that camera, you know, go do it, you know, you have to. So there was maybe some moments like that, but by and large. You know, the arc, you know, and if I look at this in a detached way, you know, you know, in documentary, you want a character trying to accomplish something, facing an obstacle. I mean, that's really similar to the kind of things you craft into fiction films as well, and that was always there. The obstacle was huge, you know, it's like, here's terminal cancer. So I knew that there was always a lot of dramatic potential from a, you know, if I look at it from a detached point of view, and so that was always there, and that, you know, and the structure for this film is kind of, well, at least the process of following my mom and my dad as they go through her cancer diagnosis and treatment. There's a structure to that that's inherent in life. But then, you know, the other structure that's operating in this film is the relationship stuff and going back and dipping into that, and that's kind of a parallel structure that inhabits the film as they go forward in life, and then I go back into the past and trace their relationship back up.